you ready, kids?
The famous philosopher Plato was born around the mid-420s BC in Athens to a privileged family. Plato is an enormously influential philosopher. In fact, it's often remarked that philosophy itself is just footnotes to Plato. Plato is also famous for another major reason. It's that he established the world's first higher educational institution in Athens. It's called the Academy. And here is a famous painting by the Renaissance artist Raphael done in the early 16th century, which depicts Plato there in the middle, under the arrow next to Aristotle. And in this picture, he's pointing up to the sky. This gesture reflects the emphasis on the abstract and the intangible in his philosophy. Another practical reason why Plato has retained such an influence and still has an impact today is that his work survived, which marks contrast with his contemporaries. Something else important to note is that Pythagoras, the guy who's the subject of the other video, had an influence on him, as did Socrates, this guy here, the smartest man in Athens, who's also majorly important for another reason, namely that he is the voice through which Plato speaks in almost all his works. Almost all of Plato's works were so-called dialogues, and Plato himself never spoke, always through characters. Platonism is one of the major ideas he expresses through Socrates. It's a metaphysical notion, and, well, it's the notion that reality isn't the external world. We don't actually see what's real, we only see the shadows of the ideal forms, and we're all living in a metaphorical cave, looking at flickers. But don't worry, there is a solution, there's a way out, and it's to become a philosopher king, an enlightened man like this guy. Yeah. So another idea that's important is related to the cave analogy, and it's the theory of forms. And basically, well, this is again the idea that there are two worlds and we only see one. We don't see the deeper one. Another important idea is this epistemological notion, reduced to an aphorism here, that knowledge is justified true belief. Obviously, people don't take that very seriously today. And another even more important idea, probably, in terms of influence on later thought, is his model of the state, which was based on his notion of the mind. It was a tripartite structure where rulers were at the top and workers were at the bottom. To Plato, an important aspect of this was that wisdom was more important than rhetoric, and in contrast to our modern sensibilities, he believed that aristocracy was better than democracy. Thank you for listening, and be sure to check out that blog if you feel like it.